there guys, how you doing today? So today I'm going to be teaching us how to make this one-sided butterfly ruched skirt, right? This skirt is absolutely amazing. I love the skirts. So I went ahead in this video to use my basic skirt pattern, the snatched waist, to draft this pattern for the skirt, and then I went ahead to just do the sewing as well. So if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly click on the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so that you get to see videos like this when I post them. Meanwhile, the link for the basic skirt pattern is going to be in the description box. So if you're yet to see my video on how to draft a basic skirt pattern with a snatch waist where you close your darts, then you need to see this video. So we're going to go ahead to the cutting and the sewing of the skirt. I hope that you learned something from this. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video to as many as you want to see how to make this skirt. Bye for now. So for this skirt, I'm going to be using 1.5 yards of chiffon, my hip curve, my basic skirt pattern with a snatched waist with a band, my scissors, my chalk, my tape. So guys, for this tutorial you're going to be going ahead to measure out the length of your pattern paper, that is the length of your skirt, and then you're going to double it minimum. In fact, if you can make it 3 times the length of your normal skirt, it's going to help, because we're going to be placing everything back into the normal skirt pattern, and it has to have the gathers, right? Then on one side of your desired side of your skirt pattern, you're going to add an extra 7 inches. Now the pattern I'm using here already has 1 inch extra as allowance. So after placing it on the fabric, I went ahead to measure an extra 7 inches for my side flap, as you can see in the picture, and then that's made up for the side that had the flap. So I went ahead to draw where my actual pattern stopped, and then the rest has become my flap, right? So you're just going to go ahead and draw that line, not all the way yet, just draw it to demarcate where your pattern stops. Then, since I did not cut my paper on fold, I went ahead to cut it as one single sheet, and I'm supposed to open up an entire folded paper. Do you understand? The entire front bodice is like the entire front skirt pattern is my paper folded, so I'm supposed to open it up. Now since I don't have that, I went ahead to mark the middle of the line of the where the first part of the pattern stopped, and then I went ahead to turn it over to the other side so that the second side of the skirt I can draw it out. So you can see me just drawing out the second part of the skirt, and since there is no flap for the second side of the skirt, because this is a one-sided butterfly ruched skirt, I went ahead to just draw out my hip as it is, demarcating where the skirt stops. So you can see I have the full front skirt pattern. Now I'm going ahead to extend my length to the end of my fabric, or to my desired length, so that by the time I'm done, I get to pleat everything back into the original skirt length. I hope you understand what I am saying here. Now this is for the front part of my skirt. So I went ahead to just cut that out. Then I came back to the other side that doesn't have a flap, and I went ahead to add 1 inch seam allowance again to everything from up down, and then I just use my hip curve to connect the lines all the way from up down. Forgive me, working with this chiffon was a bit difficult for me, because chiffon fabrics are like that, so you need a lot of patience, and sometimes it will not allow your chalk line to be as guided as it should be. But however, just try to make it as clear as possible, in a way that when you are cutting, you don't cut big. Just make sure you have your boundaries properly drawn with your chalk as much as you can. So I went ahead to go to cut out my front pattern, my skirt, my front on my fabric, of course. guys, the next thing I did at this point was, because I already folded my darts on my basic skirt pattern. If you don't understand what I'm saying here, kindly click on the link in the description to see the video on the drafting of this skirt pattern, because to show you exactly what I did. I have closed my dart, and so you can see that the waistline is no longer straight. The waistline is curved because the dart is closed, and this is how it will be when you've sewn your darts on your skirt. Now, because of the nature of this skirt, we cannot openly sew the darts, so we close the darts on the pattern so that your skirt does not go without darts, and so that your skirt has shape. So I'm going ahead to trace out the waistline on the pattern of the pattern paper on the fabric, and I added half an inch, just so that when we're joining, we don't reduce our length, right? And then I went ahead to cut that out. So you can just go ahead and do the same when you are drafting your skirt. No, you can see that I did not continue cutting it deep the moment it was out of the skirt pattern. I just let it be. And when you are folding your fabric, please first of all leave the extra 7 inch for your flap before you fold in, so that you don't have shortage, or you don't have a problem with knowing where your middle is. In fact, if possible, as it's folded like this, not your midpoint, so that you get to know the midpoint of your skirt. So guys, I went ahead to measure where my original waistline stopped, not the seam allowance on the pattern paper, the original waistline. And then on the fabric, I went ahead to notch that place. Now that is going to show us where our band is supposed to get attached from. So you make sure that when you're doing that, you know where to attach your band and where your band should stop, so that you don't um put your band on the wrong sides of the skirt. So after that, I went ahead to put up my fabric for my back, using the same specifications as the front. For the back, as we're not using this back zipper, we're using a side zipper. So I closed, you can see that I folded in my zipper allowance, so it's not going to be reflected on this skirt. And then I went ahead to just do the same thing that I did on the front. Leave the 7 inch just the same way you did the front, and then our side zipper is going to be attached to the side of the skirt. So when you sew in your allowance, you leave out space and then you attach it. Don't worry, you will see all of that in the other part of this video. So I just went ahead to draft out the back, or cut out the back rather, just as I did for the front, notched the right places, and then we are good to go. I also went ahead to cut out my band. So if again you've not seen the basic skirt pattern, please see it, because the band was cut out from the skirt, and so this allows our band to be more fitted than the usual bands that you would just cut out straight away for your skirt, leading to a snatched waist, which is very important. So I went ahead to fold my fabric in 4 places, because I want my band to be double of my fabric, of my chiffon fabric. So I went ahead to place my front band on the chiffon fabric, folded in 4 places, that is 2 of each fabric, and unfold. Then I made sure that the side of the skirt was on the outside, and then the center front of the skirt is on the folded part of the fabric. I went ahead to add my 0.5 inch round seam allowance for attaching to the skirt and for closing up the band up. And then I went ahead to cut for my front and for my back pieces, as you can see in this video. So please, if you are following up and you are sewing the skirt for yourself, please do so. Just do as you see. So guys, I've gone ahead to gather one side of the skirt, which is the side that doesn't have the extra flap. I've gone ahead to do the gathers for that side on the front fabric and on the back fabric, and then I've gone ahead to place them on each other, and sew right sides facing each other. So guys, after joining the two gathered parts of the side without the flap, I went ahead to turn it to the right side, and you can just see how our skirt was beginning to turn out. So if you're following this video, this is what you should have by now. Then I also went ahead to run gathered stitches for the side that had the flap. But before I did that, I went ahead to mark our actual waist measurement. Remember, we already notched it, so it was notched. Place the pin there, and then I went ahead to just gather it just the same way the other side was gathered. It might not be exactly uniform, but when you iron, everything will come out properly. So I went ahead to sew using her actual waist measurements on the right side, because this is the side that has our flap. So the stitch is going to be on the right side, not on the wrong side, please. So take note of that. So you go ahead and sew this, and then also, when you are going to sew from the waistline, please be sure to leave ½ inch seam allowance, so that when we are attaching the band, we have some space to attach the band. So there's ½ inch on each side before you start sewing. Please take note of that. Do not sew that ½ inch. That is going to help us in the attachment of the band when we're going to be placing it. So you can just see that as I'm showing you. It's really going to, our band fits clearly into that. So guys, something happened while trying to pull out my thread for to create my gathers on the other side with the flap. The thread cut, and so I had to go ahead to create the gathers manually. You can also do this instead of running your gathered stitch, especially with chiffon, where your thread has the chances of cutting because of how the fabric is. But you can see the part with gathers and how it looked really fine. I would still prefer to run my gathered stitches anytime to doing my gathers manually. So please take note of this, and if this happens to you, don't fret. Just go ahead and run your gathered stitches or do your gathers manually. So I went ahead to do that for this skirt on the side with the flap, and you can see that the skirt is just beginning to come out very beautiful. So people, I'm going to be going ahead to fold in these edges by half of an inch, half of half of an inch, that is quarter-inch first fold, like so. Quarter-inch first fold like so, and then another quarter-inch. So half of an inch down. The second flap as well, half of an inch. I've already done this one. Up here as well, half of an inch. But you make sure that you leave this place open, because we're going to be attaching our band here. I hope you can see it. See where my stitch started? I left half to 1 inch. So if I can choose to reduce it to half of an inch, so that when I want to add my band, there's space for me. So we're going to fold in by half of an inch, starting here like so, and going down all the way. And then you're supposed to go ahead and fold in the hemline too by the same half of an inch. I already went ahead to do mine. I hope that you can see this, so that the skirt comes out all neat. Remember guys, I'm working with chiffon. You can use Duchess for this, you can use lycra, you can use any fabric that falls easily can be used for this skirt. We're working with this chiffon fabric. This is the thick kind of chiffon. So I'm going to be going ahead to do the second part. Yes, what happened here was eventually I went ahead to do the gathers manually, because my thread cut. I think this has to do with the fabric. So but you can see how beautiful this was already coming out. Anyways, I did it manually, and it still came out as what I wanted. So I'm going to be going ahead to just fold the sides round, so that we can see what I'm doing next. After that, I'm going to be attaching the band. I will show you how I'm going to attach the band. So let's go ahead and get this one done. So guys, this is what it turned out as when I was done um folding the sides. It came out really nice, and it just made me very excited. I had gone ahead to fold the sides and fold the hem of the skirt as we had agreed earlier, because that part is going to be visible and you don't want your fabric fraying in public view, right? So before we press this, I'm going to go ahead and show us how to attach the band. But then I also went ahead to open up the side for the zipper allowance by coming down from the waistline on the side without a flap. I came down from the waistline by about a minimum of 7 inches, and that became for our zipper allowance. Then I went ahead to fold in and attach the band. So guys, for my band, I went ahead to sew its right sides facing each other, turn it back on the right side, and then I folded in to the wrong side by half an inch on both the band is two pieces, on both the front piece and the back piece and the back piece of the band. That's the both pieces of the band. Now you can see that I went ahead to iron that fold. Please be sure that you iron that. That is the only way that that part comes out neat. So I went ahead to take my band from my skirt from where we notched for the band, and I placed it into the side of the band. That's the side front of my skirt and the side front of the band. Remember, we already did that. The side front of the skirt and the side front of the band. Now the half inch you left without sewing is what is supposed to help you have some space to sew in your band. So I went ahead to do that, and I placed the skirt into it. As you can see, so the waistline of my skirt into the waist area of the band that has been folded in. If you've attached a collar before, you'll be able to understand what I mean here. So literally I sandwiched the front part of the skirt in the two pieces of my front band. That is what I did in summary. I went ahead to use my pins to just hold it, and I did it all the way around for the front band. I also did that for the back band, and then I went ahead to sew on the machine. For the sewing, I did a top stitch. So guys, after sewing the front and the back band to the skirt, I went ahead to flip the side that has the flap. I flipped it to the wrong side, and then I went ahead to sew my client's waist measurements plus the remaining half-inch space that was left there, because we did this flap side on the right side, so there was some remaining space inside that was not sewn, and if you leave that, it's going to end up looking torn. So I went ahead to run a stitch from the beginning of the band into the beginning of the stitch that we did on the right side, just to make sure that everything aligns. So when I turned that to the right side, you could see when I turned that to the right side, you can see that there is the demarcation for the band, and then the extra half-inch has been sewn in. There's nothing, everything is well finished, so that part is important. Please take note of it. Then I went ahead to open up that side for my zipper allowance. And then I went ahead to attach my zipper. So if you are following up with this video for your skirt, please just follow up with this process. I hope you understand what is happening here. So guys, this is how our skirt came out. I had not attached the zipper at this point yet, but you can see that the waist already had the curve. It was not straight at all. And then you can see that the rich effect was already there. So guys, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel and you loved this video, kindly like, share, and click on the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell so that you get notified when we upload videos like this just for you. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.